my master's gave me the project experience and the certifications to land a job and at least understand what cybersecurity was. So I was really appreciative of that. So I think that's very important. And if you want that understanding too, definitely go to school for it.
Welcome everybody back to another edition of the TechWokePodcast. I'm your host, Chris, and on this podcast, we talk about cybersecurity, career, and life. And on today's podcast, we're going to have a great young professional in the field in cybersecurity, Fanta-Marie. She's certified in CMMC. She's a professional in that, an IT analyst, cyber analyst, an MBA in cybersecurity. And without further ado, here we go, Fanta-Marie.
Hi, everyone.
It's good to meet you. I appreciate you being on the podcast, and reaching out to come on.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
So how's your day going?
It's been good. I always love being back in the DMV, so can't complain.
I know.
How's your day been?
It's been good. I know it's not Georgia.
Definitely not Georgia.
It's not Georgia, but which one's hotter, here or Georgia?
Definitely Georgia, but it's way more humid here.
I feel you.
I don't like that.
So Francis, tell me about your early life. You from here, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Silver Spring. I went to Blake High School. I'm one of 5 siblings. I'm the oldest.
Oh, you're oldest.
So yeah, really, I got started with tech when I was in my sophomore year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to an art school, so I was really artsy. I drew well and all those things.
I can tell.
And then I got into tech. I joined a group called Girls Who Code and became an ambassador. Went around, did hackathons and all that stuff. So learned to code in high school and pretty much stuck with it.
Did you have any inspirations in the tech space and for Black women?
Well, actually, my only inspiration at the time was my math teacher. Her name was Mary Sims. She was an older white lady, but she was pretty pivotal at her time when she learned how to code and things like that. So she was my mentor. And that's how I really got into tech, and that's influenced my major in college and things like that.
So when you're in high school, you're getting into tech and coding. I understand you have your Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
How did your parents? Did they encourage you?
Yes, being West African, you really only have a few options: is lawyer, doctor, engineer. That's really all it is. So yeah, I loved arts, like I said, but that wasn't gonna make the parents proud at some point.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to college for computer engineering and also political science. So I double majored. And I guess that made them happy.
So you satisfied both crowds with that.
Yeah.
So you're doing your bachelor's degree in computer. Is it computer engineering?
Computer engineering and political science.
Okay, so how was that?
It was tough. Don't double major. I did that because I actually wanted to go to law school for intellectual property. Wanted to be an IP attorney. So I did the engineering thing. I didn't want to be an engineer, but to do IP, you have to have a STEM background. So it's just, that's how I blended the two together. And it was good. I liked the program, but engineering is already tough as itself, and then you're double majoring.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
You didn't have no life, did you?
No. And then during the pandemic too, things slowed down a little bit. And then that kind of really made me decide that I didn't want to be an engineer. They called them Zoom engineers because we were only getting experience online.
You was on Zoom learning it up.
Yeah, we had all our labs in person were really fun, and then we went to doing labs online, and it was just I was like, I don't feel like I have the skills to do this in the real world, so let me not.
So in the program, what were you learning? What technical skills were you learning?
So we primarily use Java and C#, C++, and I was programming a lot of chipsets. That was really mostly it.
What's that?
Chipsets, like chips inside of electronics. So there's timing modules and different things like that. So yeah, that was really fun, but it wasn't something I was like, I want to do this forever. But I needed to understand how those worked to do IP law. So
I understand. So the whole thing, you wanted to do IP law.
Yeah.
And you was going to school in the pandemic.
Yes. So, pandemic hit my sophomore year, and then graduated 2021. So.
Okay. So after you graduated from 2021, what were you doing? What were you doing during that time period?
So I went to West Virginia University. I moved back home here, Silver Spring, Maryland, and then for about 7 months, from like May to pretty much the rest of the year into January, I was studying for my LSAT, and then preparing my applications to submit by March 2022.
So you was really serious about that.
Yeah, I was so serious about it. And the LSAT is no joke whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I was doing. So once I came home, that was my primary focus, and took my LSAT, submitted my applications, and that was that. I had a normal life after that.
Okay, did you get accepted or any schools?
Yeah, so I was waitlisted at Howard. That's the thing too with law school applications. If you don't apply in the fall, your chances of getting in the spring are very slim. So I knew that. I sent out my applications end of February. Deadlines is middle March, So I knew I wasn't really going to go anywhere. And when you're waitlisted, that's pretty much like a soft no. Because there are people in line before you. Mm-hmm. So unless all those people are like, I'm not going to Howard, you're most likely not getting it. So I was like, all right. Guess we're not going to law school this cycle, and I had spent all this time preparing for that, so I didn't have a job either. I was just living at home, so it was just like, okay, time to find a job now. What are we gonna do next?
So how did that make you feel?
Not great, because you spend your entire life prepping for one thing, and then it doesn't happen when you want it to happen. So it's like, okay, I gotta re-strategize now.
Did you feel like it was like a failure, or how how certain coaches can feel?
I never felt like I was a failure. I'm just someone who likes instant gratification. So when I want something and I prep for it, I'm like, okay, this is my timeline, and I don't hit those benchmarks, that really stresses me out. But I always knew, I was like, okay, we can go next year. Like, it's not a big deal.
Okay, so what was your plan after that? So you got waitlisted, and you're waiting to see what's going to happen next. What did you start? Did you start checking out social media about tech or things like that?
Yes. So like everyone else during the pandemic, we were all stuck on TikTok. I had learned about cybersecurity from Simone Bies, actually. So at the time, like 2021, 2022, it was a buzzword. That's just how I really learned about it, was cybersecurity this, cybersecurity that. And my time in tech, like I was programming, but I wasn't really like into cybersecurity. I didn't really know what it was. So I'm just hearing this buzzword, and the back of my mind, I'm like, I watched Mr. Robot growing up. So I'm like, okay, that's people with hoodies on, and they're, click clacking away trying to break into systems. That's the only context I had to cybersecurity.
I saw a meme recently on Instagram. There was a guy with a hoodie with light up shoes and like a weird looking haircut, and I was like, that's literally what I thought a hacker was. I'm like, what's going on?
That's a stereotype. I mean, yeah.
Or you just some weird guy that just sits in a corner and don't make no noise and just like.
They're persistent homebodies. That's really how they do what they do. They just in their own worlds and trying to break into stuff and make money. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're hearing this buzzword, so you're diving into this?
So I actually got into it because I'm like, if you've seen Simone Bies' content, it's like security plus, security clearance, and 6 figures. That's really all it is, right? So I was like, okay, I need to do that fast, quick now, because I didn't find a job, and like I wasn't gonna go to be an engineer, didn't have the internship experience for that, and when you want to go to law school, if you study poli-sci, like your chances of finding a job before going to law school are very slim. So I was like, okay, we got to do something because these student loans are about to kick in, and I don't have a job. So what am I going to do? And, Sally Mae, they don't really care what's going on. They're like, we need our money now. So I was like, all right, got to go back to school because that'll pause my loans. So after studying for the LSAT, I was not interested in studying for the GRE, GMAT, or anything like that. So I was like, I need to do something online. And I'm not trying to move to another city again. I just got back from being in West Virginia I'm good. So I did. I applied to their online master's program for cybersecurity, and yeah, that was pretty much how I got in. And I had no experience. I had no idea what it was, and ended up falling in love with the field because of it.
Well, that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, like even seeing Simone B's in it, did you get inspired as a black woman to see, okay, you can get into this and not feel
Mm-hmm.
intimidated?
Um, she honestly eased how I felt about it because I know like government work is mostly like there's not a lot of black people in general in the tech space. So for me to see a black woman like that, like making a lot of money in this industry, and in the federal space as well, I was just like, oh, like okay, I could do that too. So yeah, she was very pivotal in terms of like how I felt about the industry, and I was like, okay, I felt confident after that.
So what did you learn when you was in your master's program that helped you get in the field?
Yeah, so my program was accelerated, so I did the 1 year one, and
1 year.
yeah, 1 year.
Okay.
So it was very fast paced. Every 8 weeks, you had a different set of courses. So my first two courses were IT auditing, so that was the CISA. Each class
Like
had
GRC.
So each class had their own certification tied to it. And then you had projects inside of that too. So CISA and Network Plus Data Communications is what the class was called. Those were the first two, first 8 weeks. And I was like, okay. And I'm someone who loves to learn. So I'm taking in all this new information that I've never seen before. And it was really cool because I was learning about protocols like TCP, UDP. That was really the foundational stuff like OSI and all those buzzwords. And I was like, okay, you're on the internet every day, and then now you're actually seeing how you get the internet, packet transmission and all of that. I'm like, oh, like this is cool.
It's making sense.
Yeah, so I really like that. And so yeah, I was applying to networking jobs and auditing jobs. That was my first experience. So.
And when you was doing this program, did you get like a security plus, a network plus when you was in there, or that was later on?
So with the way the courses were set up was you could take the final or you could show them that you passed a certification, and then you would pass the class. So I didn't take the CISA. I thought it was just too much for me, so I didn't do that. I did get my Network Plus after I finished the class, so I didn't do that as the final replacement. And then I got Security Plus. So those were the only ones that I got during the master's program.
And the program helped you prepare you for the okay. So
Yeah.
no personal projects you did. Did you do any personal projects also?
You had quite a few projects in the program itself, so I didn't have any personal projects, but all the projects I had throughout the course I put on my resume. So I just figured out a way, and I know you're not supposed to do that. It's not the orthodox way of doing things, but I was like, I have no experience in the industry, but I need a job. So I just figured out a way to put all my projects on my resume to at least show employers like I am learning this, and then this is what I can demonstrate.
You gotta do what you gotta do to get in the field. Also,
Yep.
too, I don't. Did you post anything on LinkedIn?
No.
Okay, no. So you just took a personal project, put it in, and anything you was learning, you put the coursework and just said this is what you did. Okay. So okay, so you finished the program. I'm like, okay, so you finished the program, and you're like, okay, what's next? Did you started applying for jobs, right?
Yes. So I started applying for jobs. So the program started end of August, and I landed my first 2 jobs in October.
Okay.
So that was
2 jobs.
Yeah, 2 jobs. Like
How you do? Oh, you was working them both.
No, I wasn't working them both,
Okay.
but so the first job I landed was with a federal contractor, and that started in October. That's with the same resume that I used, just project experience. And I actually didn't really interview for that one, but they were like, "We'll train you." So I was like, "Okay." So I did that for a year.
Hold on, let's go back though.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's go back.
Let's go back. Going a little too fast for me. No, okay. So, what were you doing to get that? What did you do to get that first job? What did
I
you?
was just applying.
Just applying to everything.
I was just applying to any and everything. I was spraying wide trying to figure out.
Did
what
you
I could
tailor your
do.
resume? So, okay, when you were first started applying, was you getting a lot of hits back when you first applied?
No.
You weren't getting no hits back.
No hits,
Okay.
no.
So what did you start to do to start to get hits on your?
I really didn't do anything
I got you.
different. I just like I had the projects on my resume and I was applying to whatever I could. It was mostly just auditing jobs and networking jobs because those were the only classes I had. So by the time I finished that set, and I had landed the 2 jobs I was telling you about. Okay. So that was really, that was it.
Okay. And so you interviewed for the auditing position with the federal government. Did you get like a clearance or anything?
No, I didn't get it. It wasn't with the government. It was with the contractor.
Oh, with a contractor. Yeah. So you got that contract, and they basically gave you opportunity.
Yeah.
How was the interview process?
The interview process was there really wasn't one. Mm-hmm. So that kind of inspired me to like make TikToks about this because I always tell people that it's just pure luck, honestly, because I think that was just luck for me. And at the time, this was fall of 2022. But I was applying, and the position itself, they wanted someone with 10 years of experience. And I had seen something on TikTok where they were like, apply anyway. It doesn't matter if you're qualified or not. Apply anyway. And so that's what I did. I was the only person that really, I guess, was qualified, or the only person that they were really interested in, I guess. And I got a call from the CTO, and he asked me, he was like, when you're on the internet and you want to do an internet search, whatever, you're in the URL bar, can you tell me about the protocols involved? So I was like, okay, cool. And I was just in my networking class, so I could answer that. I was like, all right, you got TCP and UDP protocols, three-way handshake. And I was just rambling. That's really what it was. And then he was like, okay, cool. Well, we're going to look at other applicants and we'll give you a call back. And then he called me the next day and he's like, can you come in and like meet the team? And I was like, okay, what is this? He's like, no, we're giving you an offer. And I'm like, we need an interview. And he was like, that was the interview. And I was like, what?
He's like, that was it?
And yeah. And I was like, I don't have any experience, right? You saw my resume. And he's like, no, we'll train you. So I was like, all right.
And this is when you was in the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was fall of 2022. I started that job in October. So yeah, I was so happy too, because I had been struggling for months to find something like a job.
So you was happy. You like, it's like party season.
Elated. Yeah.
I know you was telling and I know you was when in African households, they was bragging. You know how they be bragging. They was like, oh yeah, Fanta's doing good.
Yeah, they were so happy. My mom was so happy because she knew how much I was struggling. Moms see everything. I was at home with her, so she knew I was already bogged down from not going to law school, and it was just okay, we're starting over, we're pivoting, right? So I told her, I was like, okay, I got this job, and she was like, oh my gosh. And for it to be my first job, 6-figure total comp, I was like, there's no way. In
the DMV?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, there's no way that I just did this.
So that's amazing. I'm surprised you had no big tears coming out, the big tears, I get that one tear that comes down,
I sobbed for a good, I sobbed. I was crying for sure, on the phone. I was like, yeah, I'll come in on Friday and meet you guys. I was trying to keep my cool. And after we got off the phone, I was just like,
you try to have a straight face on there, be like, yep. 6 figures?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll be there. And then on the phone, hey, you probably called up. Well, I wouldn't tell everybody, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. So let's debunk some things real quick.
Yeah.
Because my thoughts is I'm iffy on degrees, and I'm not sure if degrees are worth it in the field. Kind of explain your experiences. Did that help? Do you feel like that helped you get your job?
I want to say yes. So I am anti-degree because I have a lot of student loans, and I feel like if you don't, I try to apply for scholarships, but not everyone gets them. And if your parents don't know to save for them or save for college, then it's you got to figure out a way to do it as cheap as possible. My master's gave me the project experience and the certifications to land a job and at least understand what cybersecurity was, because I didn't know what it was. And even I feel like people in the industry only think it's the network engineers that matter, when it's not. So my master's taught me every single domain of cybersecurity, technical and non-technical. So I was really appreciative of that. So I think that's very important. And if you want that understanding too, definitely go to school for it. Like I said, I think
But are you mainly for like for your program? It's
Yeah.
like because I did my master's and it was kind of like it's just such the old stuff, like some dinosaur stuff. But I'm pretty sure with West Virginia University, shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? They probably have a newer program and newer concepts. Is that where you're going?
It is a newer program for sure, and the guy who runs it, he was a CISO before. I think he has a couple PhDs. He's amazing, Dr. Ramazan, like the best mentor I could ever have. So he was an industry professional who left the private industry for academia. He designed the program ground up because he knew what the skills needed to be. So you really have to vet these programs because I found out like a lot of, schools are just throwing up quick certifications and things like that. And they're just trying to make a quick buck because cybersecurity is a buzzword.
It's a buzzword.
Yeah. So in terms of getting your degree, if you want to do that, vet the school for sure. But I mean, I think everything that I learned in that program, I could have found online.
Okay.
I just didn't have the guidance. So I think like you're paying for the guidance when you go to school.
Yeah, because like when I got into cyber, I did a master's program in it, but really I got it on my own because they didn't care about they didn't really care. I don't know. Do they ask you about it when you do jobs now? Like, do they ask about your cybersecurity masters or?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. And every school does it differently too. So it's like, it's hard to ask about it. But I always talk about that. Like when it comes to my experience, I always make sure that they know that I have experience because a lot of online schools are just like, read this textbook, take the test, and that's it. But I was like, I got a lot of project experience, so I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah, and just to double back, so it's like, it's iffy on the internet right now. So there's two different sides now. You got the side, which I'm on, is like, okay, you ain't making six figures off the break. But there's a side that's like, okay, you can make six figures, which you are living proof of it. So it is possible, right?
It is possible. It depends on where you live. And it depends on, I would probably say your experience, the company's budget, and things like that. If I lived in Arkansas, would I have landed the comp that I did? Probably not. But being in the DMV, like, and I was the lowest paid person at the company too. So it's like, yeah, it just really, your location is more important than anything.
So to the audience, you might have to come down to the DMV to get some money. That's the
essentially. I mean, yeah, the DMV, this is the wealthiest area in the country. So like Northern Virginia, like Montgomery County, Maryland, DC, that's where the money is. The government has all these hubs here. So that's where the money is.
Okay, so tell me about this role. What did you do in this role?
So
and it's the IT auditor, right?
IT analyst.
IT analyst. What do you do? What's the IT analyst?
So my role changed over time. When I first started out, they were teaching me like Microsoft Azure. So I was in the Azure portal a lot and then studying for the Azure AZ, I don't even know the numbers, but essentially a system admin. So I was onboarding new hires. I was documenting like asset management and things like that, and really just shadowing all the network engineers that were my colleagues. So at first I really felt like it was an internship, and they were really holding my hand because they knew I had no experience in it. And then eventually, like, they let me own a few other things. And then as a new federal contractor, you have all this documentation that needs to go in place for the government. So it transitioned into a GRC role, and I was still mostly technical too, setting up a lot of our servers and also working with
was it on a
frameworks.
Was it on a VMware or?
Yeah, so we had a couple. Our air gap network was on ESXi, and then we also had like a few server racks that were just like a part of our internal network, and then other ones that were a part of the air gap network, and then we were I'm not there anymore, but cybersecurity company, they sold firewalls and things like that, like Palo Alto. So we also had our own product system, ecosystem as well. So I was learning like all of that at once. So it was very fast paced.
I understand. So as a black woman in cybersecurity or in cybersecurity, was you nervous when you took on this role? A little bit?
I wasn't. Growing up where I grew up, predominantly white spaces, you just go with the flow. I was the only black person there out of 70 employees, literally, like, I'm not even joking. Only black person there out of 70 employees. Went to a PWI for undergrad, so I didn't really have any issues like being in white spaces.
So you had the confidence, and because with me, I grew up in the city, Chocolate City, you know what I'm saying? So
City, yeah.
grew up in the city, and when I started working with other races, it was a culture shock to me.
Really?
So you was already, so the PWI did prepare you to be in that type of environment.
Yeah, I think, other black people that also grow up in the same environments, you just learn to be palatable to black people, or white people, sorry. You learn to be palatable to white people until you're in black spaces, and then you can kind of just relax a little bit. But I mean, I had always been around white people, so it really wasn't an issue for me at all.
Understood. So you're doing this role, when you transitioned to ATL, when did you make that? So was that the second job?
Yeah, so that was the job that I also landed in fall of 2022, but they wanted me to finish my master's before I moved out there. So I had that offer pending for a year.
Oh, they wanted you.
I guess.
They wanted you. They pending for a whole year.
Yeah, pretty much. And that job too, I didn't really interview for.
Oh, was it because of your network?
No, I had the interview. It was a panel interview with other hiring managers, and I guess like I was introducing myself, talking about my project experience, basic STAR questions, but they were really talking amongst themselves at the end of it, which I saw as a good sign. Your interview should feel like a conversation, and that's what it just turned into. And then I got the job offer.
Yeah, you got too much luck. I don't be having this much luck.
I don't have this luck now, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, my first two jobs, I really didn't interview, and
How do you prepare for these? How do you prepare for interviews?
So initially, I mean, when you don't have that many or that much experience, you have to get good at STAR questions that fit the role you're going to be into. So that's really what I did. Was I had a script for STAR behavioral questions is what they're called. And the good thing about interviewing on Zoom is that, you can have notes. So I always interviewed, and I told the interviewers, I'm going to be taking notes, when really I just had like my document.
I got you.
I was taking notes too, but join the call, minimize the window, don't even look at them. When they hit you with tell me about a time where you experienced a difficulty, I'm going to talk about something technical and how I fixed it, right? And I had that script ready to go.
So basically, when you answer any question, just make it related to the job.
Yes. Don't talk about how you overcame family conflict or something. That's not what they want to hear. But say like, I experienced whatever server downtime, like, and this is how I fixed it, like whatever. Like that's what they want to hear if that's what you're applying for.
And if you're making six figures, for example, do you feel like it's more pressure when they're paying you that type of money, or from your experience, explain?
I think it depends on the environment.
Okay.
For the federal contractor, I was the lowest paid person there. And they knew what my skill set was. They were trying to help me. So I didn't really have a lot of pressure. But the pressure was on myself because I wanted to look good around all these industry professionals and older white dudes. Sometimes they're not as forgiving. So it's like you got to be on your A game.
Thanks.
So the pressure was on myself. And then the next company I worked for, huge company, like I'm talking
big company,
like Fortune 5 company, like big, like literally, and so there was a lot more pressure, there was a lot more bureaucracy, like
politics,
paying you a lot of money, so you need to actually like
do your work.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, okay, was it a big tech company?
They weren't a tech company, no.
Okay. Was it a big?
But I was working in the IT side.
Okay. So why did you move to Atlanta? Why pursue or why did you come out Atlanta?
I liked the pay jump, and I liked that I could move out there with the same money. Here, it's a little more difficult in the DMV, and I wanted to be in the city, so I wasn't trying to pay all that.
Was it scary?
Was it scary? No, I was ready.
Okay.
I was ready to go, and I liked Atlanta. I had visited before, so I was like, okay, I could live here for a little bit. It's not home, but I could do it.
So for people that's trying to transition role, maybe they might not. This is competitive. Like it's like Game of Thrones out here.
Now,
so So if you try to get a job out here, so would you encourage people to just venture out, to different places to get a job?
I would say try that as well, but really get your foot in the door with like go to events, talk to hiring managers, talk to even people that work at companies that you want to end up at. That's what I've seen, at least with my peers. There's a certain point where you're not getting a job from interviewing or like applying online. You're getting a job from someone that they have an opening, they're giving you a referral, and you're applying. And you most likely will get the call. So that's been my experience now in the job market and being unemployed. A lot of my network has been reaching out and telling me, like, we have this position, use me as a referral. And the managers are calling me back right away.
I got you.
So, and even like going to Atlanta Tech Week, Render ATL had a big conference. And even though it was mostly for software engineers, they really weren't hiring for cybersecurity. I was still talking to them because, you build rapport and then, okay, I looked online and I saw this. Can I use you as a referral? You're an engineer, whatever, but there's a security risk analyst position I want to apply to. So even if you're not talking to cybersecurity people, still make those connections anyway.
Okay, so you came to Atlanta, you took the role. Are you still the GRC role?
Yeah, it was also a weird intersection of GRC and technical stuff and content delivery. But I was working in DNS.
Okay, domain. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was like networking. I was looking at security incidents with our web application firewalls and then also documentation and things like that. But it was more lax because it wasn't federal.
Hey everybody, we're taking a quick break from the video. Just want to tell you to join the Patreon community. In that community, we talk about the cybersecurity field. I show you resumes to help you get into the field. And I also show you interview questions on how to navigate the field and get a job in the field. So just want to check out the community. Back to the video. So Fanta, when did you start getting into TikTok and posting on these videos? I saw your videos on TikTok and it kind of motivated me. I was like, yeah, this is a good lifestyle.
I have to give credit to Simone Bees. Yeah, she was pretty foundational for me getting into this space. So I felt like I had to contribute back, especially seeing that there aren't people like us in the industry whatsoever. And then also realizing, like, yeah, I paid money for my degree, like a lot, but all of that could be learned online.
Facts.
Because at the end of the lesson, I was online trying to understand what I was learning.
I'd be at work looking up how to create a poem. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally.
So, and then also, like, it's one thing to be in school and learn stuff in academia, and then it's another thing to be in the industry and then learning from seasoned professionals, because that's what it was. It was like I was working for the federal contractor and I was like, okay, I know these words because I read them in a book, but like I actually need to understand this.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I quickly learned. I was like, okay, everything that, all these resources that I used to understand what was going on in the space, I can also talk to other people about. And yeah.
And you're helping a lot of people, including myself. I didn't even think it was even possible. Simone Bees set the standard with it, but it's, people like you, especially the younger crowd too, is just putting all this information. I to be honest with you, I don't even know people gonna keep going to school. If all this information is being put out here, like, even like, have you ever had any issues with jobs posting this information?
No, I haven't. I don't like to talk about like my employers and like I told you about my employers, but like my audience, because you never know, and I don't want future employers to see that I'm very open about that stuff. So I try to keep that very separate. So I only really like to talk about my experience and then free resources. But I haven't had any issues yet.
So being on TikTok, has it helped elevate your network also?
Yes and no. I'm in contact with a lot of companies. They want me to review their products or even talk about their boot camps and stuff like that. So that's been cool, getting access to those resources that have helped my career. There are a lot of cool AI tools that have changed like how I apply to jobs. So I'm really fortunate to be able to use those. But as far as like landing positions, not quite, because most of my audience, we're in the same boat. We're all entry level. But I've gotten to meet some cool people at conferences and places I've been invited to. So yeah, that's been good.
That's great. And then also too, like, I know a lot of people hit you up in the DMs, and like they're inspired about what you're doing. As a Black woman killing it in the industry, I mean, how does that make you feel?
It's really cool. I think I would say meeting people in person is crazier, because when I went to render ATL, I had a couple people come up to me and they're like, I've seen you online, you make TikToks. And I'm like, what? Like, you know my face? Like, that's crazy to me. But normally, like, online, I'm just talking to people, and to me, it's just numbers. Like, I don't know how to explain.
I understand. Sometimes it's just like you just see, oh yeah, you got another subscriber.
Like, another follow, or like a like, or something. Like, it's just numbers. But when you're in the real world, like, you can humanize those people. That's how I look at it. And I hope that doesn't sound bad, but I see the impact in person, and to me, that's really amazing.
Yeah, because I know you have a lot of fame in the industry. I mean, how do you deal with it?
Honestly, I mean, that's tricky. Like I said, I have more access to companies now, which I think is really cool, because I just want to help people. So I like to relay information. Like, I saw this free thing that you can add to your resume, boom, put it there. But as far as like actualizing the fame and the numbers, like I don't. Like,
you don't.
I don't.
Just I'm a regular person.
I'm just a regular person.
Just doing a regular thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's really all it is. I don't actually internalize it until I see someone in person.
Yeah, because with me, I talk to a lot of people. Some people can be big-headed. They'd be like, don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I like that you're humble.
Some people are like that. I'll say, I won't name any names, but there are a lot of like the older seasoned people that I see online as well. They don't like what I do. They don't like what I do at all.
Why do you think so?
They got to where they got to in a very different manner. They've been in the industry for decades. So their come up was a lot different. It took them a long time to get to maybe the numbers that they're at. But nowadays, I feel like a lot more companies are desperate. They're willing to pay right off the bat. And I think they don't like that. And then they also think that cybersecurity, like, if you don't know all the protocols and you don't know how to work a firewall, then you're not important in cybersecurity. And it's like, it's a lot more than that. So they don't like that I get online and I'm like, yeah, like, if you study for your CISA, you can land a job that pays you $130,000. They hate that. They don't want to hear that at all. And they're like, I hate these influencers. And it's like, bro, like, I never said that it's easy. I never claimed that it was easy, and it's difficult. A lot of it is luck, but I will never say something's impossible. And they are very much, no, that's impossible.
Everything's possible. Yeah. I mean, it's just like you said, you got 6 figures early off. It's possible. It's not in everybody's case, but it's possible. Yeah. So I hope they don't get. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes a lot of the older people like to gatekeep stuff. They like, yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this. I'm like, dude, you like 70 years old. Go retire. You know, retire, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or like those guys are really great to learn from. They're super technical. But they came up from like a help desk position, moved into network engineering, and that's all they know about the industry. That's all they know about the space. There's a lot of things that are going on with compliance and regulatory bodies and things like that. So it's like a new set of skill set that they haven't been exposed to. So they don't understand that all of that matters too.
And also too, like, how do you deal with people, just regular people that be like, oh yeah, she don't know what she talking about, or you know, she just saying living a lifestyle that doesn't exist. I know you deal with regular people also. That's in the field.
I don't think
you don't think so
that much.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No. It's mostly from the older people. Like when I first started my TikToks, man, my comments were crazy. And I always tell people, I was like, I'm never going to post on Instagram about working in cyber as a woman, because I know on Instagram people be ruthless in the comments.
I'm good. I don't post too much on Instagram.
I'm good. On TikTok, I feel like TikTok gives you a safe space. Everyone's happy in your comments, at least now. But Man, you won't catch me posting on reels about cybersecurity because I know people will be
They going,
on me.
yeah.
No.
They be coming at me. That's sometimes I make a TikTok and they be like, he's reading from a teleprompter. He don't know what he talking about. He don't know what he talking about. And I'm like, bro, like, I have people that literally work with me that see this and they have nothing to say. Like, what is you talking about, bro?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, regardless of me posting online and stuff, and just in life in general, I'm like, if someone's not paying my bills, I don't care what they have to say.
Yeah, like,
and that's that.
Like
so,
if you're in my friend group or you're a person that wants to make me succeed, I listen to everything you say. Now, if you some random dude up the street, I don't really care what you're saying.
You don't know what I deal with. You just saw 20 seconds online and are in my comments. Like, okay, keep pushing.
Yeah, so tell me about, like, so recently you publicly posted about this. You lost your job recently. How did that make you feel?
That was not great. That was, I mean, even it's been 2 months now, and like you wake up and you're still like, did this really happen? Is this real life? It's a poor situation, and there were a lot of layoffs that happened last fall and winter. So, you know, I'm glad that I got to see other people's experience. So I knew it was happening to me right away before it even happened. But it was still such a very shocking thing because you realize that companies really don't care about you.
They don't care.
And you build relationships with people, and then for them to like switch it off like that just to save the company, just kind of like, okay, you're like, I don't mean anything to you.
They don't care. They don't care. They don't care at all. Like, I've been laid off before, and they're like, Chris, I love you. You did everything, but you gotta go. And I'm like, and sometimes they get something. Some of these people get enjoyment off of that, you know.
Listen, I didn't even get any of that.
Yeah.
It was just like my manager, loved him. We had a great relationship. Like, he was like my work dad, essentially. Great relationship. And even like HR, like my HR contact, I helped her out a lot. Like, we were very close. And so to see both of them come on a call like that, and it was just kind of like, yeah, we have some unfortunate news. We're doing some corporate restructuring, and this is going to be your last day. And it's like, okay, like, that's it. Like, all right, like, what's going on? And they're like, we can't really, that's just what it is. And then, access is shut off when you hang up. And it's just like, is that really how it's going on? Like, it's a sense of grief immediate, like, right away. And it's just like, okay, all right, cool, guys. Like, thanks.
And I think people need to, even in my career, when I experienced it, everybody has it at some point, but it really opens your eyes that these people don't care about you. And
they really do
coworkers stop talking to you.
They really do not.
And they forget about you.
And it's something that, it's one thing to hear that online, and I think TikTok is so amazing because you get to see other people's experiences. You learn a lot of things. That's probably why they don't want us to be on there anyway. But, I've seen other people get laid off because people record that and post it. And then for it to happen to you, it turns it from entertainment to reality. And you're like, oh, man, that sucks.
So how did you deal with, was you depressed, or how did you deal with that?
For sure. I, even before I posted that video, like, it took me about 4 days before I could even do, like, I was a mess. Because I knew the state of the market right now, the economy as a whole. So being put in that position is cool. And I was always applying to jobs anyway. Like, even though I landed those offers, I was still applying to stuff. I was applying to stuff earlier this year because, that's what you really got to do is, like, you get comfortable in a spot for a year or two, move on. So I was cool with that. I just really hated the position because there were thousands of layoffs in December from big tech. So I'm competing with people who are overqualified, taking underqualified positions because they need to make their ends meet. I'm competing with people who already have jobs that are looking to transition into other jobs. And I'm also competing with my audience. We're all entry level. So it's like, there's a lot more competition than you're prepared for.
I don't believe in entry level, though.
You don't?
I don't really believe in it. I think because like when you get in the well, from my experience from being in the field, it's kind of like you're thrown into it. Like you're doing everything the senior doing, but they take more of the like if say for example you have a senior in a position, if something go down, they're gonna blame him more, but you're still doing that level of work.
You're still for sure. I learned that too. Is like the higher ups, the more you go up, the less you really do. It's really your subordinates that are doing a lot. I just say like entry level because like recruiters and stuff like that. 0 to 3 years. That's the category you're grouped in, and you might not know everything off. You're doing the work, but you don't really know like all of the in GRC. I'd probably say like the specific frameworks and the contacts, federal contacts, and it takes time for you to get that down. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing all the work. Like I wrote incidents response plans, multiple of them, all 110 controls in NIST 853. I documented all of that. Like, no, my managers didn't touch a damn thing, but they rolled that up to their bosses. So
they be like, yeah, look what we did.
Yeah.
Or look what I did. And literally I did it. You can't say not a one way.
You can't say anything. So yeah, I mean, they look over it, make sure it's right, but no, they're not really doing any of that.
That's a nice position. I'm gonna get there one day. So are you trying to train? What field? So I've noticed that you posting a lot of government contracting. Or that's the field you're trying to get into because it's more stable.
Yes, I mean, I got into it. That was my exposure from Simone B's. So I'm really looking for a security clearance at that point. I do like federal contracting, just the corporate environment. I'm like, the company I worked for was a huge company, Fortune 500 company. I worked in their federal division. It was a lot slower, but I liked that work. And then I went to a Fortune 5 company, and I felt like such a small fish. Like every little thing that I had to do needed multiple checks. And so I had a taste of that. And I was like, I don't think I want to go work for Google or Microsoft or anything like. Well, actually, that's not true.
Don't say that.
If anyone sees me and they want to give me a referral to those companies, I'm there.
Don't say that.
But I saw the corporate environment and the differences between the two, and I was like, okay, I prefer to be more autonomous. I know what my tasks are, and I get those done, as opposed to like needing so many steps just to do one thing, or like nobody knows my name in a room. Like I don't know, I didn't like that a lot.
I got you. So you're tapping into your network and you're just going to all these government contracting events to eventually get a clearance and land a job in the field.
That's my goal.
You're gonna get it. Just keep hustling. You got that.
We hope.
That African in you. So yeah, we hustlers.
Doesn't stop. It
ain't gonna stop. Yeah. We gotta work.
And once I get that, I'm like, what's next?
What's next? Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so tell me about. We'll just give into some cybersecurity tips. Because that's your big thing on TikTok and things like that. For a young person that's trying to get into the field with no experience, what would you do?
Depends. Do you have the money to spend?
No money, broke.
No money.
Because no signs that they broke. They broke.
No money, broke. Okay. If you have no money, I would look at, there are a few schools, like online schools, that even offer in-person training. I know Per Scala's is one, Year Up is another. They have these cohorts where in 16 weeks, they give you all the tips. You can even study for, what's it called? Like the entry-level certs, like Security Plus and things like that. And then they have networks where they can place you with companies and get you internships, externships, and help you land a role that way. Those are really competitive because they're low cost as well. So there's that. But really, if you're looking to rack up a bunch of certs and do projects, YouTubers are so amazing. When I was in school, I used Network Chuck and Unix Guy.
Oh, you use Network Chuck?
Network Chuck.
That was my first
Linux
guy I ever look. He has 1 million followers. I watched him when he had 5,000 or less.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That man is amazing. And he does a lot of like, I'm going to teach you this in 5 days, right? And that's project experience. Put it on your resume. And yeah.
LinkedIn also too.
LinkedIn everywhere you can. So really, YouTube University is what they, it has a bad connotation, but that's really what you should do. If you have no money and an internet connection, you should really be on YouTube, learn from these vets, and configure your resume to whatever roles you're looking for.
For your knowledge now, do you think having a degree is helpful, or just it's better just to go on YouTube?
I think it's helpful for me because in the program that I was with in West Virginia, every 8 weeks is a different domain of cybersecurity. So the order might be a little messed up because it's been a minute, but we started off with IT auditing. Then you learn the stuff you need to pass the CISA in 8 weeks. And then at the same time, you're learning Network Plus, and then you move on to pen testing and machine learning. And then we went on to enterprise architecture, and then secure software development. And then we did legal and ethics in cybersecurity. And then I forget what that last class was. Oh, operational technology. So the stuff that you can't necessarily interface, but is still on the network. So, or legacy systems and things like that. So that was really helpful to me because I didn't know, like I said, I thought cybersecurity was just hackers, hoodies, and dark rooms. So you go from legal to pen testing to machine learning. Like, I think that would take you a long time to learn online, or you might not even know to look for that. So, yeah. On the other end, if you do have some money to spend, definitely go the master's route with a reputable school. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even with me, like, you can use YouTube, but sometimes you don't know what questions to ask on YouTube.
You don't. You're at the mercy of someone else making like a 20-minute video, and that's all you're taking from it. And it's a video, so they're not going to talk about other things. And if you like them, you're only going to keep watching their stuff. So, like, Network Chuck is very technical.
Yeah, he's very
He's
technical.
not going to tell you about GRC stuff.
He's not.
So
he's going in.
Yeah, if you watch Network Chuck, I mean, you're just going to learn SQL, Linux, and other things. Like, that's it. That's all you know. You're not going to learn about CMMC or, like, other things. So, yeah, that's the tricky part about YouTube University.
Yeah, YouTube University. Like I said, if you know what to know, you ain't going to know until you get in the field, like you said,
So, yeah. So going back, like, with that master's, I'm like, okay, now I can actually look at different areas. Like, I know what YouTubers to go to for what. So,
facts.
Yeah.
Simone B's is GovTech, Network Chuck, Linux.
GovTech, yep. And Simone B's keeps it short and simple. USA jobs, search up, must be able to obtain, get a clearance that way, and that's that. So then a lot of young people, I know a lot of different people come to you and they be like, get me into cybersecurity. And I'm like, listen, bro. I don't even know where to
I don't even know what's going on, bro.
Yeah, that's a tricky part. On my what's it called? On my TikTok channel, I have several playlists. One of them is 12 roles. I worked that series through December, so it's called 12 Days of Decipher, where I give you 12 different roles and 12 different areas in cybersecurity. So whenever someone comes to me and they're like, I don't know where to start, I'm like, go watch this, please, because I tell you what locations might pay you the most, what you can expect to earn, what certifications are attached to it, and how much that might cost to train, and then also take the certification, because the certifications are hundreds of dollars. And then what your day-to-day is going to be like. So that's the whole thing. That's what I do on my channel, is literally I'm doing the research for you because I was there and I didn't know anything, and this is the quickest way for me to get that out to you. So I always send people there first, and then I'm like, okay, what do you like from there? And then they tell me, okay, I'm interested in auditing. I'm like, all right, so you saw in that video, study for your CISA. You can find entry-level auditing roles. You might want to go to these consulting firms or big audit firms and look there, things like that. Go to hiring events with KPMG or Deloitte if you want, So, yeah, I try to make it as easy as possible for people to figure out what to do.
I understand. Does certs matter? Because I've talked to so many people. Some people did it without certs. Some people did it with certs. What's your opinion?
So, I will say certs matter to recruiters. When you're applying to jobs, hiring managers are not looking at your work. The recruiters are looking at your work. So when all these entry-level roles that say you need CISSP, even if you have 0 years of experience, that makes no sense. Like, hiring managers know that no one entry-level has CISSP, but recruiters will put that on things anyway. So certs matter in terms of hitting keywords and helping the AI and the ATS systems pick up your resume. But I think if you have a lot more projects and you speak well about your experience, you should be fine. The roles that I landed, like the first two that I was talking about, I didn't have my certs yet, so it didn't matter. I've also seen job postings where they're like, within 6 months, we want you to have this certification, and they'll help you pay for it. So really, I think like if you're starting out and you can go ham with projects and build up your GitHub, wait until you have a solid company to pay for all the certs. Like my CMMC certification, that was $3,500 for the training. I wasn't doing that on my own, but the company was like, hey, we want you to have these skills before we fired you. We want you to have these skills. Go study. You have 6 months to take it. So wait for the company to pay for all of that, really. So
and then just describe some of the cybersecurity lifestyle. I know I see online that people posted like they're on the beach with a coconut and pineapples and all this good stuff. Is that possible? It could be possible, but is that like the average lifestyle in this field?
It depends. I think you know how people were posting about like my day in the life as a software engineer, and they weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
You don't see that content anymore because those people got in trouble.
Yeah, they got fired.
Yeah, I will say I've had days where I was doing no work because I didn't have anything to do. They always want you to do something, but I was like, I literally do not have anything to do right now, in terms of deliverables. And then I had other days where I was working 12-hour days, like 14-hour days even, because you're on a P1 call, you got to solve something. It just depends on the area, if you're technical or non-technical. I know the network engineers never stopped working. They were making the most, but they were on call. Like, you get a call at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, you got to pick up. There's no D&D does not exist in that world.
I agree.
So yeah, I think it really just depends. The GRC professionals, unless you have a big audit coming up, you really don't have that much to do. So I mean, yeah, a lot of the times I was like, I'll go to a Pilates class in the middle of my day, come back, check emails, and chill. Then other days it wasn't like that. So
do you think GRC is probably the best entry level field? I think that's better for everybody to start off in GRC. That's my opinion, but it's not for everybody, right?
Honestly, I would say no. I think GRC is easy to grasp because it's not as technical. It's a lot of reading something and comparing something to, something else. But I feel like networking would be easier. And that's very controversial, but I say that because the protocols don't really change that much. So you can really hone in on your skills and then apply it. You're just learning a new set of ecosystems like Cisco, Palo Alto, or Fortinet, or I don't know what's another one, Dell, maybe. But ports are gonna stay the same, so you can really focus on that. Whereas GRC, I think it's a lot of learning from other people of how to do things. Even when you're doing risk assessments, every company does it differently. What I did at my first company was we got federal templates. We just had to match our stuff there. What I did at the next company was very different because, they were bigger, less, more resistant to change. So they didn't really like doing new things. How they've done it is always how they've done it. So you got to learn how everybody else has been doing it for a long time. So it's one of those where who you're around is going to affect how you learn in GRC, whereas I think your ports, your protocols, how to configure a firewall and write scripts. You're going to have those skills for a good
forever. I think it's because of skills. I got you. I like GRC only because it's a nice non-technical role. You can kind of slowly learn it, even though it can hit you all at once because you got to tell everybody stuff. But I still think GRC is kind of like an easy entry.
Like I agree with that too, because it's a big game of comparisons.
Yeah.
You have compliance standards, you have regulations and governance. NIST will say this, ISO will say that. Comparing is your Azure environment, is your AWS environment configured to that? If not, fill in the gaps and go present it to your CISO.
Because I think
that's very easy to do on paper.
Because I think a GRC is like when you're at GRC analyst, you're kind of like, do you follow basketball?
Here and there.
You know who Rich Paul is?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Rich Paul, you're kind of like, hey, you do that, you do this, and I gotta figure this out. That's how I think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be very fast paced, it can be very slow. It just depends on who you're around.
Is cybersecurity for everybody though?
I think there's a spot at the table for everybody.
You think so? Okay. Because it's just like sometimes I just think it's not for everybody because like this type of field, like for example, you can give by a PM like or I'm just gonna say like a regular desk job. You have to put in these dates and you have a set thing you have to do. With our field, it's kind of like okay, you come in and you have to force yourself to learn. And I don't think everybody can do that. You know, just for me working with certain people, they kind of like. It's just like they're kind of looking for me like, hey, guy, like I don't have time for that. You know, you got to figure it out. But if you go to a point, I'll help you. But it's just my, you know, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think to at least be in cybersecurity, whether you're technical or non-technical, you have to be obsessed with learning because stuff is always changing. Threat vectors, the attack surface, these hackers are getting smarter every day, literally every day.
It's getting bad.
So you have to be able to keep up in some capacity. It's not going to be like, I don't know, accounting or tax law where it's the same stuff. You're going to do the same thing for 20 years. It's not like that. So I think if you have the necessary skills to just like constantly read and be excited by that, you can at least be in cyber. And then once you're in cyber, each different niche is going to have their own timeline for how quickly things are moving. I think networking moves the slowest. I think GRC right now is moving the quickest because, you know, if your company is based in the US, you got your compliance standards here. If they're international, it's not just the US, it's GDRP in the UK or whatever Australian standards. There's a lot going on. So you got to catch up to all of that. And then the legal side of cyber, you know, Senate moves slow as hell.
Yeah, that's a whole different. So, they get paid the most probably out of anybody.
Once you're a big lawyer, I mean, but yeah, regulations take a long time to get passed, and once they are passed, you still have a big window for implementation. So, like, my last role preparing for CMMC compliance, the deadline was June 2025. For you to reach level 1, 2, or 3, or at least be in the process of the audit. But like we were prepping for that in 2022. So it's like you get a lot of time, right? So as long as you have the knack to continue learning, then you can pick a spot after that. So
Understood.
I do think, you know, anybody can do cyber as long as they want to learn.
Understood. What are some career trends in the cybersecurity space that you're noticing? It could be cloud or RPA, automations. What are you seeing that, you know, maybe some people might want to jump onto?
The biggest I've seen right now is cloud and AI or machine learning, neural networks, that area. Automation is something that the industry is moving towards. So I feel like, you know, you learn your basics, but if you know few cloud technologies, whether it's Azure, AWS, I mean, those are really the biggest ones, or Salesforce or ServiceNow or something, that gives you like a plus in that domain, because people are moving away from on-prem, and, you know, cloud is really just someone else's computer. It's nothing really too different or difficult to grasp, but learning those technologies is something that can be a plus in your career if you want to do that. And then also artificial intelligence, machine learning, and like training models. SIEMs use AI like incident response, or even like anomaly detection, signature-based detection. Like you need machine learning engineers that know what malware looks like and how you can even train an algorithm to continue or improve. So it's like that's a good intersection that I've noticed, that it also pays a lot. Like if you look at those machine learning jobs, like minimum like $200,000.
You get some money.
That's crazy.
Especially in the government space.
That is crazy. Oh yeah, the government is desperate for machine learning engineers. Desperate. So yeah, if you're looking to make some money, like fast track, give yourself a year, because machine learning is not easy. Give yourself a year to rack up those skills and start applying, build your project. And that's also a good thing too, because I've noticed, like, talking to machine learning engineers, because I met the guy who brought AI to Amazon.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. He's really cool. His name is David Sellinger.
Okay.
Sellinger,
He's like a
whatever.
billionaire?
He's got a lot of money.
Yeah, he got more money than me.
I tried to ask him. I was like, okay, so what were you making, early on? But he's like, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. But he's making, he's
probably making some good money, probably in the millions. Knowing him, he probably in the millions.
He's got his own company now. So this was like in the early 2000s, like the recommendations that Amazon gives you. Yeah, he was the guy who developed that.
That was up.
So and that was way back when. So he was making a lot of money way back when, and he was doing that now. And I think like that's an area where your projects really speak for themselves. So you don't have to go to school for that. As long as you understand math, you got a paycheck coming for you. So yeah,
I feel you. So where can our audience find you?
Okay, so I'm on TikTok. My name is Fanta-Marie Toure, or that's my username on TikTok. And then I'm also on YouTube. I just started YouTube. My name is also Fanta-Marie Toure on there. And I have an Instagram that's more personal for me. But if you want to follow me on there too, it's called Strawberry Fanta. Totally unrelated to tech. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Now make sure she needs a job. So if anybody's looking for the employer, hit her up.
Please
check her out. She knows what she's doing.
I'm trying. We're all learning, and I'm sharing that with you. So.
And then also, what is your goals for the next 5 years?
Goals for the next 5 years. I need a security clearance. So I can make that some OB's money. And then eventually I want to figure out a way to move away from working corporate. So I want to start my own IT consulting company. And then also a nonprofit helping minorities get into cybersecurity, because the trifecta, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, easily run you $1,000, even if you if you pass on the first try. So because they're all like $300 a pop. Yeah. So
let's get that student discount.
Unless you have that, you got to be enrolled in school to do that. So it's like, like these spaces really, if you don't have the money for that, it's really difficult to even get the credentials for someone to call you. So I feel like building an audience is something that's been really valuable to me. And then being able to like give back, like help you guys earn certifications. Like I've given away a couple vouchers for like whatever milestones. Like when I hit 25,000 followers, I gave away 2 cybersecurity vouchers, and then same thing, I'm about to do one with YouTube. So it's like that's really what I want to do, and I have the audience, so thank you a lot, and I want to give back. So that'd be cool to do a nonprofit and just help people train. And then IT consulting, I like GRC, so I think it would be really cool to take my certifications and like go in, assess companies, get a team of engineers to look at their stuff and tell them, all right, you need to pass this audit, DCSA, this is what you need to do, let's fix it. So yeah,
some great goals. I'm definitely gonna hold you to it.
You're gonna hold me to it.
I do that to everybody.
I need that, because I am also a person, like I got all these ideas written down, and when it's time to start, it's just like
I'm a firm believer in my life. I said things that I was gonna do, I accomplished everything. So if you say it, then it's gonna happen.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. There you go. You'll be the first person I hire. Yeah. Like, all right, we got this company. Let's go in and let's
got you. Let's get this money. Yeah. Money. Whatever you call it nowadays. I don't know. I'm getting old.
You get old.
Yeah, my young age of 29.
Not even. You're a spring chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah. So yeah, let's do it. It was IT consulting.
Facts. Thank you for having me on, Fanta. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and giving me your time and experience. I learned a lot, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and we've had tons of conversations, and I really enjoy that you're in the same industry as me, so we can talk about that. And yeah,
it's very lovely.
Definitely bring me back.
Definitely. Well, thank everybody for watching the Tech Woke Podcast. Remember to comment down below if you have any questions or any thoughts. like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, join the Patreon. In the Patreon, I can get more experience on GRC, government contracting, just things I've done in my career that can save you some time. And then also, I'll put different things like job questions and things like that. So make sure you check that out. Also, subscribe to the newsletter and just check that out also and join the community. But that's pretty much everybody. Remember, everybody, get 1% better every day. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.
Bye.